Welcome to WION's exclusive interview with Afshin Molavi, a senior fellow at Johns Hopkins University. He is joining us from Dubai. Thank you, Afshin. Welcome.
Thank you, Rahul. It's very nice to be with you.
Right. Let's dive straight into it. Do you think Israel PM Netanyahu will halt a full-blown assault on Rafa, where the Gazans have taken shelter after being driven from the north? Given the pressure, he's being urged by almost everyone, from the US to the Saudis to the UN to Western nations, to stop.
Absolutely. The pressure is certainly on a higher heat than it has been in the past, although the pressure has been pretty high over the past month or two as well, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has not stopped. So there is no indication that he will. In fact, he has talked about moving forward with the ground offensive. Look, at the end of the day, he's made it clear. He wants hostages to be released. There is now a plan on the table that was negotiated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, a framework in which they're going to present to Israel and Hamas for a 6-month temporary ceasefire with some hostages released. Now, it remains to be seen whether Netanyahu is going to accept that, but that's essentially going further than we have seen in the past with these plans.
Right. You spoke of the talks for a ceasefire. It's continuing in Cairo. In your opinion, when can we expect some kind of a break in the deadlock?
It would have to happen very soon because we're already seeing airstrikes on Rafa. People in Gaza are getting desperate. They don't know where else to go. Right. And it would have to happen very soon because if there is going to be movement, it would happen in the next few days.
Right. Just moving slightly away, for decades, West Asia strongly aligned its foreign policy with Western nations, but we are now increasingly seeing a global South assertion. How do you see this?
It's a very good question, Rahul, because you're absolutely right. I mean, for many years, countries in West Asia, the Middle East, were aligned very closely with the United States. It was almost a remnant of the Cold War. But we have seen, particularly here in the Gulf Arab states, a new era of strategic multi-alignment, much more geopolitical diversification. We're seeing that in their relations with China, seeing that in the relations with India. We're seeing that with the possibility of the UAE and Saudi Arabia joining the BRICS Plus grouping. Look, at the end of the day, both the UAE and Saudi Arabia have come to the conclusion that their economic policy should be the driving force for their foreign policy. And as a result of that, they have adopted this policy of strategic multi-alignment, and they don't want to fall into one camp or another camp.
Right.
And so this is going to be something we're going to see going forward as well.
Right. It's also often said the Indian diaspora in West Asia is the backbone that holds together the relationships between India and the Arab world. Now, can you help us understand how important is this diaspora factor?
It's a very important factor. I think the Indian diaspora has been absolutely essential to the rise of the Gulf Arab states, particularly here where I'm sitting in Dubai and in India. There is a joke among professional Indian expatriates, what's the best city in India? And the answer is Dubai. Of course, it's just a joke, but they feel a certain sense of ownership of the place, and rightfully so. I mean, Indian nationals have been very important from everything, from the C-suite executives in banks and design firms and consultancies, all the way down to the middle level clerks and accountants, all the way down to labor. 3.3 million Indian nationals in the UAE alone. They have been vital. And what has happened is, as UAE-India geoeconomic ties have grown, I think the UAE national authorities have looked at the Indian diaspora in a different way than they have in the past. And they've really begin to show a great deal of appreciation for what the Indian diaspora has done here in the UAE.
Right. Now, many nations in West Asia, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and so on, are looking to diversify their economies beyond oil. How important is India as an investment destination from that point of view?
India is going to be a very important investment destination. I can tell you from here in Dubai at the World Government Summit. I just attended an event yesterday, and it was the chief executive of Mubadala, one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds, Khaldun al-Mubarak, and he was asked about future investment opportunities anywhere in the world. He specifically pointed to India. He was specifically bullish on the future of India as a place that could be a center for future UAE investment. He pointed to rising demographics. He pointed to sizzling growth rates in India. So clearly, there's a lot of attention on India as a future investment destination. And you're right. They understand that the oil era is coming to an end. We're still going to need fossil fuels for maybe another 20, 30, 40 years, but they're going to have to diversify away from fossil fuels, and they're all moving aggressively in that direction.
Right. And what's your take on the deal India-UAE signed on the Transcontinental Trade Corridor?
Yeah, you know, the Transcontinental Trade Corridor, in many ways, I view it as the government catching up with private sector and commercial dynamism of this India-UAE relationship. The India-UAE relationship has been one that has been growing very rapidly. It's a $70 billion plus trade relationship, and it goes back, hundreds of years. Back in the 1950s and 60s, the Indian rupee was the national currency here in Dubai. So, this idea that the government, is now supporting this India-UAE trade corridor. We've already been seeing an India-UAE trade corridor. Indian goods are already being re-exported very robustly through Dubai ports and through Abu Dhabi ports. We've seen enormous amounts of people flows, trade flows, services flows, capital flows between India and the UAE. So this is simply an extension of what was already happening.
All right. Yeah, fantastic. It was wonderful talking to you, Afshin. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day.